All right, everyone sitting down? Okay. I got the high sign from the AV in the back. We're good? All right. Bonjour. Ozawi makwasan about additional cause makwana dodem. Toronto in the tunchi gema algoke kidikan odenong the donjapa. In English, my name is Michael White. I'm the director of First Nations House Indigenous Student Services. So I'm going to do two things. One, I'm going to give some words in my language to acknowledge the day, and then I'm going to do the statement, the land acknowledgement for you. So miigwech mishomis, which means thank you to our ancestors. Gibawase ajean nogam. We give thanks for the present, and specifically the light that comes from the sun that allows us to live. Miigwech tikid nokam gijigak is talking again about specifically the present or the day that we're having. So it's a focusing of the time that we have today. So it's talking about this. Put your hand on your stomach. There's a belly button there, right? That's the word tis in our language. And so bimadis is talking about walking your belly button. So you know that you're connected to all the people that came before you through that connection of your belly button. And so that's what I wanted to share with you today. We go on to give thanks to the directions of the east, south, west, and north. And then we ask collectively that we stand strong and have a strong heart. So I'll give you those elements of Ojibwe language and then share with you the statement from the university that we wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, it's the meeting place still to the home of many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we, the universities I'm speaking to today, are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. And so, after this, I get to introduce Principal Jonathan Rose to come and welcome you all today. Miigwech, thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. Can everyone hear me? Yeah? Welcome everyone to Massey College. As you heard, I have the privilege of serving as the acting principal of this institution, and it's great to be here to celebrate the African Scholars Awards. Thank you for coming, and thank you for participating. I also want to thank Henry Solly. Where is Henry? Henry, where's he? He's back there. And his, I want to say his staff. I'm not sure who he collects to help him make this happen. And I want to thank our staff for making all this happen. You can see there's lots of organization, lots of knitting of things that go on chairs. That's just fantastic. So thank you, everyone, for coming. We here at Massey College are very proud to be invited to be a regular partner with the Toronto University of Toronto African Alumni Association, and it is a wonderful day of celebration and acknowledgement that I hope the scholars can take great pride in and build on. I think these kinds of things build confidence, and confidence is what helps you do the next thing. And I hope that happens here, and I look forward to hearing about each one of them in the moments to come. And that's all I have to say. I'd like to introduce the president of the University of Toronto. Is that correct? We're going to have him come right there in a moment.
I'm delighted to help celebrate this year's edition of the Gown African Scholars Awards. Greetings to our award winners past and present. Special congratulations to Dr. Charles Arthur Downs, winner of the Eminent Honorary Award and keynote speaker today. And thanks to the University of Toronto African Alumni Association and all our partners and sponsors. The Gown is a wonderful annual tradition. It celebrates the amazing range of outstanding leaders among Africans and people of African descent in the U of T community and beyond. Our African Scholars Award winners are making extraordinary contributions in everything from research, teaching, and innovation to volunteerism, advocacy, and community development. Your impact and influence are felt widely in the Toronto region and around the world. And you are a powerful source of inspiration not only for Africans and people of African descent, but for everyone at U of T. The University of Toronto is distinguished among our global peers by our commitment to inclusive excellence, because excellence in teaching and research requires and depends on inclusion. That commitment is key to fulfilling our mission as an academic community, to answer the biggest questions and meet the most profound challenges of our time. The winners of the African Scholars Award exemplify the boldness, creativity, and collaboration we need to make those breakthroughs possible. So on behalf of the entire University of Toronto, congratulations to all the winners on receiving this high honor. And thank you for the tremendous example you set for all of us.
Hello and welcome. All right, thank you, Joe, for playing the President's congratulatory remarks. Our community is privileged to have the university's full support. Hello, everyone. Hello. Are you excited to be here? Yes. All right, I'm excited as well. And on behalf of the African Alumni Association, you are welcome to the 7th edition of the Gown African Scholars Awards. In a special way, I echo the President in acknowledging all recipients for this year. Congratulations. I would like to extend my greetings to Professor Rhonda McCowan, President of Victoria College, or Victoria University at the University of Toronto, Professor Barbara Fallon, Associate Vice President Research, and Barbara Dick, Assistant Vice President Alumni Relations. I would also like to thank Acting Principal Jonathan Rose and Mercy College team, the Mercy College team, for the tremendous work they do to host us and partner with us in this idea. I want to thank Mike White, the director of First Nations House, who has joined us today to acknowledge the land that we operate on. Thank you so much for joining us today. I also want to thank our Manulife University of Toronto affinity sponsors who are here with us today. We really appreciate your support in this event. And now let me take the opportunity to acknowledge my colleagues at the African Alumni Association. The principal referred to them as my staff. Indeed, they are my colleagues who volunteer tirelessly to make everything that we do as the African Alumni Association a reality in this very busy world. So I want to acknowledge you, Rashad, for everything that you do. I want to acknowledge Catherine Bate, who is also here. She's our senior volunteer coordinator and has been working tirelessly to make this happen. Victor Bukenya, who is somewhere in the room, as well as Rachel Samuels, who works to help us accomplish our goals at the University of Toronto. And now it is my honor and pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Charles Arthur Downs. Dr. Downs has led an extensive and distinguished career marked by his contributions to various sectors, including Masonic organizations. Organizations, political involvement, religious affiliations, healthcare, international relations, and academic literature. Masonic affiliations have been a significant part of Dr. Downs' life since 1948. And that is when he became the member of the Eureka Lodge 20. He went to serve as the most worshipful Grandmaster from 1963 to 1967, and has been a life member of the Naomi Chapter 8, Order of the Eastern Star, since 1954. His foray into politics saw him as a candidate of the city council in 1968 and 1970, demonstrating his commitment to civic engagement and community development. By that time, we didn't have TikTok or social media. He's a man of faith and has served as warden of St. Michael and All Angels Church from 1972 to 1974, and was a chartered member of the Canadian Friends of the West Indies in 1977, highlighting his dedication to both his local community and the international humanitarian efforts. I think that was before Doctors Without Borders was in place. You can tell us more when you come later. There is so much more to talk about Dr. Downs, but I'm going to let a lot of other things be spoken by him. I just want to highlight that in August this year, Dr. Downs will be 97 years old. Please join me welcome Dr. Charles Arthur Downs. And before he makes his keynote speech, we are going to take a picture with him because you are celebrating him first.
Well, I don't know. I know that the protocol has been established and our principal from Victoria College has been acknowledged and our eminent acting principal has been acknowledged. So I'll just try to get going with whatever it is I have to say. I might just say this. If you've ever watched the old movies, there's a great line of Judy Garland, and she says, "It certainly isn't." And then she mentions Kansas. And I can say for myself, looking out, it certainly is not Mississippi, which is where I received my honorary doctorates many years ago, I believe 81. Now, of interest, I had no idea that I was going to be a keynote speaker. I had visions maybe of being a keyhole speaker or maybe the fly on the wall. So as a matter of fact, just to get myself sorted out, I went around the corner emotionally, and they have a rare book section. And I just wanted to find out a few things about rare books. And I find that in the rare books, there's two Bibles that I've always remembered. And one is called the Morality Bible, and the other is called the Vinegar Edition. And it seems that there was a time, if you can believe this, there was a big argument about who would print a certain Bible. So they wanted to discredit this one printing company, and the printer's devil took out the word not out of one of the 10 commandments. So guess which commandment they took the not out of? Adultery. So that can happen. And of course, the Vinegar Edition is really, should say, vineyard. So it's not vinegar, but vineyard. Everything had to be copied by hand. So I'm just saying all of that to say this. If you'll understand that Dr. Henry may have made a mistake when he said keynote. So it's not going to be quite keynote. Somebody asked me how long I've been here and around Toronto, and of course, I was born in 1927, and as I was telling my good friend, the doctor to my right, that when my mother brought me home, Lincoln Alexander, one of the lieutenant governors, was at the same house with us. So I can say that I've known Lincoln Alexander, and I can also say he was my babysitter, but he never changed the diaper. So there we are. Growing up in Toronto was not a picnic. There was a period of time where they thought that people of color could not handle the weather. We wouldn't fit in. And although you weren't prevented from doing anything, you weren't encouraged to do anything. So a great part of downtown Toronto where people of color lived has been taken over. So the City Hall is now, the old City Hall is where a lot of our folks lived. My mother was able to go from Simcoe Street, which is Dundas and University, and she would be able to shop at Eaton's. And of course, she did the best that she could do. We had 4 children in the family. I was the firstborn, and unfortunately, I never had just a teenage conversation with any of my siblings because they all passed away from things that I'm hoping research today here will take care of those diseases and horrible things that take our children away. As many of you know, when you take out insurance on your child, you don't get the full value until the child is 10 years old because they really don't expect children to make it. But there it is. So I guess I got into the habit of feeling that nothing that I was given was really mine. That someone, somehow, some power from above would take it away. And so here I am today. And what I've tried to do with my life is do the best I can, try to be a team player, try to be a person who shares whatever skills or knowledge I have. And so very important, and this is something I'm going to say to those of you who are blessed, adorned, whatever you want to say. I know you worked hard for what you have. Don't leave anyone behind. Whoever is in your family who hasn't been as successful as you have, keep them in your hearts and bring them along. That's what the military says. We leave no one behind. Whatever you have, bring them with you. I've been lucky. I've tried to do that in life, and on a couple of occasions, people have come up to me and told me that when they were 15, I was nice to them. And as a result of that, they feel they should be nice to me, and they have gone on to great successes. I remember sitting and talking to one of the young people, and it was around when the Charter of Rights came up. And so I spent a little time with him. I did not know he was going to continue to university, that he was going to get a doctorate. And that's the kid that I was teaching about Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Now, why do I say that? Because many years later, he had a colleague, Dr. Ajite, and he told Dr. Ajite, you should get together. And that's why I was here last year, because the doctor or professor from McGill was being given some special award, and I had to sleep with guards until I could get the award to him. But the important thing is, as important as he is academically, he's brought me along. He asks me questions. We spend time. What was it like? What happened with this person? What happened with the other person? And so he's given me the opportunity to keep thinking about life. And I'm hoping that each of you here are blessed with having someone that you can bring along with you, even though they will never overshadow what you've done. You know, very few people make it all alone. And probably you know that one of those dark days when you didn't quite know whether your thesis would be ready or whether you're going to get what you wanted, and there was someone to listen to you, to hold your hand, and they knew that they would never be where you are. So once again, I reiterate, leave no one behind. Now, I guess that's what happened to me. Many of my friends went on to do great things, and I remember one of the politicians who I worked with provincially, he asked me that magic question. He said, the province of Ontario has just purchased a hospital, and we have to have a citizen board of directors. And he asked me if I would like to be on the board of this hospital. And smart aleck me said, well, is it a meaningful appointment? He says, oh, yes, it's a meaningful appointment. I says, will I be able to make any contribution? He says, you're on your own once I appoint you. And, of course, that's the beginning in 1968 of my ascendancy. I had no idea in 1968 that I would be liked, brought along, coached, become a team player. And one day they said, I think it's time for you to be chair of the hospital. Well, believe me when I tell you, it's not shabby being chair of a hospital. And one of the benefits of being chair of the hospital is that you can pick your own club because you're having meetings downtown. And so the club I chose was the Royal Canadian Military Institute. And why did I choose that? Because that's where I lived when I was a boy. The club was 241 and I lived at 239. And I always looked up to that club for what it did in the community. Now, once again, I can say this to you. With all that you have done and all that you do, part of your community service can be legitimately working with the reservists. They have a very proud tradition in Greater Toronto. It's called a Garrison Ball. And the beautiful thing about it is the women look marvelous. The men are dressed up in uniforms, but the ladies look just stunning. And they're officers too. So think about that. Give back to the community, and that is one legitimate thing that you can do. I later went through that course, the old story about being a team player, and they said, well, I think we need you on the, at that time there was a Metro board that took care of dollars and cents. So I was on that for a while, and then later on, something sad happened. It's nothing about the mix and the max, but you probably know McCrae of the Second World War in Flanders Fields. One of his relatives was on the board, and he was a representative to the Ontario Hospital Association. He died, leaving an opening, and immediately, without any argument, they suggested that I take his unexpired term. Let me tell you, there are some 500 or 600 hospitals in the province of Ontario, probably 1,000 people who act as board members, and for no reason whatsoever, they will never be on the board of the Ontario Hospital Association. That compares with the Insurance Bureau of Canada. They are the spokesperson for hospitals. It's just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to give back to the community. So that's the beginning. That's how it works out. As I said, through that I get recognized, and again, always trying to work with and helping people. I've been asked to do work with board of directors, and in Ontario we have a strange thing. It's called a riding association. Its name does not give you a real idea. And so theoretically, the person you are voting for in the next election will have been chosen and approved by the riding association. So occasionally I'm called in to help with riding matters and rewrite their constitutions and things like that. That was Ontario. Then I was blessed to be found or recognized by my mentor federally, a cabinet minister, and I fell in love with him because he's a lawyer, plays the piano, jazz music, and we just hit it off just fine. And so one day after he got to know me very well, he said, you know, I think you should be appointed to the bench. I think you should be a justice of the peace. I says, well, I've been thinking about this for some time, but I didn't quite know when to make the move. He says, leave it with me. The rest is history. The only hiccup that you have to know is that I was blessed to have 5 Superior or Supreme Court judges sign the document saying that I would be okay. One of the Supreme Court judges said, I don't know if he'll pass, but if he makes the pass, he'll make a contribution. And that's a nice reference. It's up to you to pass. If you pass, you'll make a contribution. And I honestly hope and pray that every one of you in your profession, trade, or calling, I hope that you pass. And when you pass, I hope you make your contribution. It's So simple, isn't it? All I have to do is work hard and get lucky. That's all it takes. Now, there's a little bit about church, and of course, not everybody believes in church, and I do, and I don't fault you if you don't. That's okay. But the important thing is that church has been one of the supports in my life. There are two old positions in the British Empire, like we're talking about 1700s. One position is a justice of the peace. And the original justice of the peace was a lay position, non-lawyer, who solved simple problems for the community. Today, the justice of the peace has power to keep you in jail, to put you in jail, to find you guilty, 6 months maximum, and the maximum fine is $1 million. He can also seize your dog and have it destroyed under certain circumstances. And he can also write a document that will have your home demolished. Other than that, it's just a humdrum job. Now, what it means to me is not what I can do, but what I can prevent happening to you. Because I have to determine whether or not you should go to jail, whether or not your dog should be destroyed, whether or not your front door should be broken into on a search warrant, whether or not all these horrible things could happen to you. I'm going to just share one little quick story. There was a young man came into court. It had to do with driving. We had a long talk. We went through the whole process. And of course, as it often happens with traffic matters because of the way it's structured, he was found guilty of the offense. And he was looking at a very big fine. And anything you want to say before the court? And he said, well, if I have to pay this kind of money, I will have to stop attending the University of Western Ontario. He says, it'll break me for my budget. So I says, well, I didn't know you were a student. He says, well, I am. I'm attending Western University. I said, tell you what I'll do. I says, who's your professor? He gave me the name of the professor. I says, your professor is your proctor. You will do so many hours of community service, and then your professor will let me know how you're making out. And we will suspend the sentence at the moment. Well, he came back, got letters from the professor, and everything was fine. And what he did is he would take out children who were disabled. And that was how he did his community service. And it was twofold for me. One, he was complete. And two, he said, I will continue to take out the young lads that I've been doing now that I'm free. Now, the beautiful thing is I was able to say, there will be no fine imposed. Go on your way. So those are the wonderful things that justices can do. They can do a lot of other things too. But that's just one example. I know that in one case, they didn't like my ruling, and of course, that's called the appeal court, and there's nothing you can do about that. You have to live with a higher ruling. There was a professional opinion made, and the professional opinion was that I would be not sustained when it went to the high court. I might say one of the happiest days of my life was when I found out that I was sustained, and what I said was new law. It's a great feeling. Now, that is really just a bird's eye view of who I am and what I've done. And I don't think I said too much about the Masonic endeavor because, as so many people really think, it's a secret society. It's not a secret society. You can go on YouTube, you go on Google, and you can find everything except the magic password or the grip or the handshake. Other than that, you're okay. As I said, for me, the Masonic organization was an integral part of my family, and it supported my dad in his dark days when he was in the hospital and not well for many years. And so as a young boy, I knew that I had to be a part of the Masonic order. Now, you don't have to be a Mason to be a good person. There are plenty of good people, righteous in every respect. But if you choose to be a Mason, that's okay too. So the Masonic order has sent me all over, including putting me up for the degree honorary Doctor of Letters, and that was in 1981. And it was funny because the person who was on the Senate said, we can't take the children of Mississippi up to Canada, but maybe we can bring a little Canada down to Mississippi. And so I went, and by the time I got there, I found out I had to do the commencement address. And of course, it was historic for them. And all things worked out well, and I've been happy and honored for whatever it's done for me. Now, I'm going to take a liberty. I think I've spoken probably 180 minutes already. What, is there one question for the left and one question for the right? If anyone wishes to ask a question about life eternal, I'll be glad to help. Does anyone have a question about anything I've said?
You could go back in your life and change any decision or event or activity you were a part of.
Oh, yes, that's easy. That's easy. I probably, because I was growing up during the Second World War, I actually thought that when I got into the military, that I could help win the war. Fortunately, I didn't quite make the military. And in 1945, when I was just about 18, the war was over, and they told me there's no point in joining now because by the time you get graduated, everything will be done. Now, it would have been wonderful if I had joined, and if I'd gotten veterans allowances, education. Lincoln Alexander, George Carter, the Honorable George Carter, Lloyd Perry, so many people that we know who are successes today would not have made it if it weren't for the Veterans Land Act and the VA, Veterans Affairs, giving them their education. So I guess if I had been old enough to go into war and to win the war and stay alive, I might have been right along there. There are doctors, lawyers, dentists, all sorts of people who are blessed, and rightly so, by being survivors of the Second World War. Horrible price to pay. I don't know if you folks are aware of it, but the Second World War in the Bomber Command, the casualty rate was 80, that's 8 and a 0, 80% fatality. The enemy was shooting down airplanes left, right, center. And every airplane that went down in the bombing run was 8 to 10 people. So that's the way life is. But anyway, that's the only thing I would do differently. Mind you, I probably marry an older lady. Isn't there a calypso about an older lady? But I'm talking too much. Now, there is one thing I have to say. Someone else has asked me what advice I could give to live a better life. And I'm going to paraphrase a line from Booker T. Washington, where he said to the person on a boat, "Put your buckets down where you are if you're looking for fresh water." I have had an opportunity to speak with and to read the resume and to go all the way back to 1836 when Victoria College was there, first started. And if you want a mentor, if you really have a problem, you don't have to go far afield. You don't have to talk to me with just an honorary doctorate. You've got not a PhD, but with a summa, and that is Dr. McEwen. Believe me, if everyone just tried to be close to what she's accomplished, you'll do very well. I can't rate 42 pages today. She's written 47 books. And you know they say, publish or die. Am I wrong or right about that one? It's been a pleasure. You've indulged me, and I love you all. And I hope that on my 100th anniversary, we're all together.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? A little louder. How are you all doing today? Woo! Love that. Just earlier today, I had the privilege of having a conversation with Dr. Charles, and there was something we were discussing about how last year during the award gala, he received an award on behalf of a fellow colleague, an old colleague or a friend, and how he kept that award very, very safe as he was taking it home until that reached his friend's hands. And I thought to myself in that moment that thought, that care, is not something everyone has, and that's what makes you unique. So it was an absolute privilege to speak with you earlier today, Dr. Charles, and that also made me realize that I am so honored and privileged to be in this room surrounded by incredible talent today. So thank you very much for having me as your host. My name is Anshul Vash. I am a 4-time published best-selling author. I don't have as many books as you just yet, but I am right now currently working on my 5th book. I'm the founder of a mental health non-for-profit called Reach Out Together Foundation. I run a marketing company called Vash Media, a book publishing company, and a real estate firm. I am so privileged that I crossed paths with Henry Sally 15 years ago. I was born in Nigeria and raised Thank you. I lived in Nigeria for about 17 years before I came here to Toronto, went to University of Toronto, Mississauga, where I did my undergrad studies. And I was 17 years old at that time. It's I know I look fairly young, thanks to good genes, thanks to my mom and dad, I guess. But it's been 15 years now since I've been here. I graduated in 2013. And the first year that I came here to Canada was 2009. And that year, Henry Sally was running for a president position for the student group. And it was called, I still remember, it was called UTM Renew. And I had just moved here from Nigeria. And I didn't know a lot of people. And one thing that I have always grown up believing is community is key. And so as I met Henry and I absolutely loved his energy, what he stood for, I decided to volunteer for his campaign. And now I'm so proud to say it's been 15 years of knowing this incredible person. I have witnessed his growth over the last few years. We have continued to support each other's endeavors. And this is my third time hosting this award gala. I myself was an award recipient in 2019. Unfortunately, I was in LA at that time, so I wasn't able to actually receive the award. But wink, wink, Henry, next time I'll be here. Having said that, last year, the award recipient for Global Impact Award winner said something and reminded us of this African philosophy, which is Ubuntu. Who all were here last year? Beautiful. And it basically means I am because you are. And it also means humanity to others. I am here because of all the incredible work you all have continued to do. You have persevered in the face of difficult times when you doubted yourselves, and you continue to make it happen for the betterment of our present and our future. So thank you very much for all your hard work that you've done so far and you will continue to do. Round of applause for each one of you. So tonight is going to be all about celebrating excellence, leadership, and all the contribution you have made. So let's have a fantastic time tonight. Before we get started, I would like to announce that as you come and receive your award, you will be taking a picture right in front of this gorgeous sign with all four of our special guests today. Sounds good? Excellent. So the first award winner is the Outstanding Recent Alumni Award. Unfortunately, she's not able to be here today, but we are still going to celebrate all the incredible work that she has done. Her name is Justina Kanza. Justina Kanza is a Zambian immigrant who ventured to Canada to advance her education and career. Passionate about empowering African women through entrepreneurship, she specialized in African studies and women and gender studies at the University of Toronto, where she focused her research on how African women are using entrepreneurship as a tool to exert agency. With an unwavering drive to create positive change, Justina founded Okwera Recruit, a thriving for-profit recruiting firm that serves as a conduit between companies and talented individuals, enabling businesses to grow their teams and scale their enterprises effectively. Moreover, recognizing the potential and talent within BIPOC communities and newcomers to Canada, she also established Okwera Academy, an organization that is providing invaluable skills in technology, entrepreneurship, and skilled trades to countless individuals, equipping them with the tools they need to launch, accelerate, and scale their careers. It's interesting because I am writing my book about career growth. So I was really looking forward to meeting her tonight, but that's okay. Justina took on a crucial role as the program coordinator at the Black Founders Network, where she supported Black entrepreneurs by facilitating access to the right mix of capital, community, and capacity building. In recognition of her exceptional achievements and dedication to her community, Justina was nominated as one of Canada's top 100 women to watch for in 2023 by Canada International Black Women Excellence. This prestigious nomination celebrated her outstanding contributions, purpose-driven endeavors, and groundbreaking accomplishments. Round of applause to Justina. Do we have someone in the audience that would like to receive her award on her behalf? Yes. Please come forward. You can take a, would you like to all take a picture? Thank you for celebrating her. So the next award is also going to be for outstanding recent alumni. And this award goes to Amal Mahmood. Amal Mahmood, a mother of two, transformed her grief into advocacy. I am so honored to be the person to announce this award, because I lost my twin brother, who was here as well, went to University of Toronto as well. He was an alumni as well, to suicide 7 years ago. And so the work that Amal has done has been truly instrumental in creating change in the world. And without any further ado, let's get into it. Amal is a mother of two, transformed her grief into advocacy, following her mother Hannah's struggle with mental illness and subsequent suicide. Through her loss, Amal grappled with deep pain and guilt, but found solace in her faith, family, and community support, which guided her towards counseling, awareness, and healing. Recognizing the importance of mental health awareness, she pursued further education, earning a degree with distinction from the University of Toronto's Arts and Science program, and currently finalizing her master's. Amal utilized her academic journey to fuel her advocacy, using platforms like Digital Sisterhood to share her story and address mental health issues. Her candid episode, Her Name is Hannah, resonated with over 9 million listeners across 147 countries, underlining her commitment to mental health advocacy. She specifically focuses on the often overlooked struggles of Black women who are expected to endure silently, and advocates for vulnerability and acceptance of help among this community. Dedicated to shedding light on mental health challenges and empowering those affected, Amal seeks to honor her mother and other women who suffer in silence. Her aim is not only to advocate, but also to educate, converse, and support communities, aspiring to leave a legacy that echoes in her mother's strengths and her own unwavering voice in the face of adversity. Congratulations, Amal.
So sorry, I got really nervous. I sat down right away. 2001, when we first arrived here, my mother met with a social worker. At that time, I didn't know the role of a social worker. And I remember the social worker vividly was supporting us and helping us as a new immigrant. My mom immigrated here with 6 of us siblings in total, and I am the second eldest. The remarks of the Professor Charles left us, leave no one behind. I am the first to graduate of university and to earn masters in my family. My goal is always to pull my family towards education and leave no one behind. My mother couldn't be here to see the success I have made. But I do know that my daughter, who's in the room currently, can see the success and the path that my mother has left us for. Coming to U of T, I remember saying that my goal is to graduate from the Faculty of Advanced Factor Social Work and to earn my master's in social work, and my goal determined after losing my mom to grief, not knowing the depression and the sadness she went through. I told myself I have 2 options, to be sad and grieved and be depressed in my pain, or to heal and take that pain, educate, inspire, empower, and be a new me. So I took that into my education, graduated with high distinction, finished my undergrad in 3 years. I was in a rush. Being here today, I'm very honored to be amongst my greatest professors, scholars, and to be here to be recognized for the work I'm doing. I'm really honored. I just finished my master's in social work. My goal is to continue and to pursue. In life, I always say, leave an imprint and be kind to one another. And that's my goal. And to my mother, I always say, in the hereafter, in heavens, we'll always meet. To that, I leave you and leave U of T and all the great scholars for thanking you all, giving me the honor and the support to be here. And to you and your brother, I know the pain you're going through. I'm honored to meet you today and to know that you also did something with your pain and grief and have a path for your sibling that who also went through something similar. Thank you all, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Amal. That was wonderful. Appreciate your kind words. So the next award is the Social Innovation Award, and this goes to Rosie Mensah. Rosie Mensah is a registered dietitian, consultant, and food justice activist dedicated to addressing health and inequities among marginalized communities. Rosie obtained her Master of Public Health in Nutrition and Dietetics from the University of Toronto, Dalla Lana School of Public Health. As a dietitian, she champions cultural food and educates audiences to celebrate, honor, and reconnect with their cultural heritage. With her roots in the Ashanti region of Ghana, she is a strong advocate for consuming and honoring the diverse foods found across Africa. With an intersectional approach, she develops and leads programs aimed at empowering individuals to celebrate diverse foods and advance health equity. Currently, serving as the program manager at the Black Health Education Collaborative and running her consulting practice at Rosie Mensa International. Rosie focuses on practical solutions to promote equitable access to healthcare and healthy food choices. My kind of person. Her work reflects a dedication to fostering inclusive practices and dismantling systematic barriers to health and well-being, establishing her as a respected leader in the field of nutrition and dietetics. Congratulations, Rosie.
I have a little speech prepared. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for this incredible honor. I'm truly humbled to receive the Social Innovation Award. It's a testament to the power of thinking big and doing things differently. Moving forward, one of my goals is to continue to bridge gaps in healthcare between North America and across Africa and the African diaspora, and to continue to raise awareness about the health inequities experienced by Black people and other marginalized communities. This would include finding innovative solutions to address health inequities and to help people realize their right to food and health. Being recognized in this way is motivation for me to continue to try new things, dream big, and to focus my efforts on the communities I work to serve. I appreciate being among such esteemed award recipients who also motivate me to continue doing this important work. I'm grateful for the support of my friends, family, mentors, and community, and their efforts towards helping me get to where I am today and where I will get to in the future. As a message to all of us here today, let's continue to push boundaries, challenge norms, and create innovation and impact together. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie. So the next Social Innovation Award goes to Paco Shiamala. Based in Toronto, Canada, Paco is dedicated to fostering a middle class in Africa, tackling global anti-Black and systemic racism through his consultancy. With a career starting in corporate finance, Paco's experiences as often the only Black person in professional settings sparked a commitment to diversity and inclusion. He has facilitated over $20 million in funding for over 50 African innovators across 20 countries, collaborating with major international donors. Following the George Floyd murder in 2020, Paco founded Blink Equity to help organizations genuinely engage with DEI principles. His work extends beyond Black communities, addressing issues faced by disabled persons, Indigenous communities, women in specific fields, and the Pride communities. Paco's mission with Blink Equity is to enable organizations to act as change catalysts, promoting equity within their operations and in broader society. Congratulations, Paco.
People always mistake me for a bodybuilder 2 days a week, but I do push-ups every day. There you go. Ben, bonjour tout le monde, mesdames et messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, they and them beautiful people, distinguished members of the audience. It's a pleasure and an honor to be amongst you all today. I'm especially grateful for the community of folks who look like me, for the allies that galvanize behind the cause for inclusion, and for folks like Henry Sally. I met Henry, Lord, I don't know how long, it must be 2 decades ago, on campus with a megaphone, and he was running for office. And you know, there weren't that many of us on campus at the time, so I was just impressed by your audacity to, you know, run for office and to, you know, be a student representative, being othered, whether it was because you're Black or an immigrant. I was always impressed by you. And I want to repeat something that a colleague of mine said last week. Never underestimate the power that you have as the only Black person in the room, the only woman in the room, the only immigrant in the room. It takes a lot of courage to speak up. And I want to thank you for those of you who speak up as persons of color. And it takes a lot of courage to do that. But by doing that, you're influencing change. So I want to thank you for that. The work that we are doing is for increased representation. It's for, you know, the world we want to create for the children, for our children's children. And it also creates a pipeline for the talent that we need to make the nations that made us become more sovereign. And that would not be a reality if it wasn't for the Henry Sallys of the world, which is every single one of you. So thank you for this occasion. And yeah, let's keep the show going. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Paco. So the next award is the Community Development Award. And this goes out to Nancy Berinu Tamo. Nancy is a public health professional whose work centers on community engagement in infectious disease risk modeling. Her work characterizing emerging or re-emerging zoonotic disease threats in Cameroon was recognized and funded by the Susan Ward Chambers Global Health Fellowship. She is a Massey College Junior Fellow and a recipient of the U.S. Department of State Fulbright Scholarship, FISA Scholarship, and the Distinguished Student of Practice in Public Health Award. For her doctoral work at the University of Toronto's Division of Epidemiology, she is co-developing an HIV transmission mathematical model and framework with community-based organizations serving sexual minority men in Kenya. Nancy serves as a public health coordinator for the African Immigrant Family Services, a non-for-profit empowering immigrant refugee communities in Nebraska through resource navigation and education. Besides traditional research disseminations like at the flagship American Association of Public Health, Nancy has been invited to various speaking engagements like with the National Council for Negro Women in Omaha. Congratulations, Nancy.
Hi everyone. In my native language, there is an expression, we the we be we. So I'm originally from Cameroon, and what I just said in English translates exactly to what you said earlier, which means I am because you are. This really speaks to the core of life as I have come to learn about it. We are a community by some common values despite our differences in opinions. Therefore, I stand here today to simply elevate the voices of all the amazing people that I have come to work with, these different communities all around the world. So thank you so much for the privilege of this award and for your time today. I am very grateful to all of you who have created opportunities for me to grow personally and in this professional space, especially from joining the University of Nebraska Medical Center, where I got to work with Professor David Brett Major and Dr. Franklin Wisi. These individuals gave me my first opportunity to really get into research in public health. I'm not a traditional researcher. And I'm super grateful to the University of Toronto. I've just been here for a year, and all the warm welcome has really been very much appreciated. I'm grateful to Dr. Sharmista Mishra, who has taken me on her team at the University of Toronto and is still giving me the ability to work with communities. And all these people I've listed will attest that the work that we do really relies on our community partners. They do the heavy lifting. And so this award, I'm just standing here as a person to accept it, but it really goes to them. So thank you so much to all these people.
Thank you, Nancy. That was beautiful. So the next award, we're still at the Community Development Award. The next award goes out to Dr. Ahmed Ilmi. Dr. Ahmed Ilmi is an assistant professor in the Department of Global Development Studies at the University of Toronto, Scarborough. Ilmi is an interdisciplinary Black Studies scholar whose work focuses on cultural identity and diasporic politics and the intersections of Blackness and Africa. He has a PhD in sociology with specialization in social movements and social justice education. Dr. Ilmi's research interests include African studies, critical development studies, diaspora and transnationalism, and the ethics of community research. He has published widely on African philosophy, gender development, identity politics, and Black colonial education. Congratulations, Dr. Ahmed.
Wow. Thank you so much. I'm euphoric, I'm over the moon, I'm super excited. As I got the award, I didn't necessarily know what to expect, but like many of you, I have a long history of being at the University of Toronto. I was a student here, and it's so great to be among so much Black African excellence. Some of my teachers, mentors, George Day, Miriam Law, people that were sort of instrumental in my committee and my dissertation, and that enabled me to push me through are here. Thank you so much. I accept this award, and I dedicate it for my parents who both passed away. As a first generation, without their support, it wouldn't have been possible. They kept pushing me, even when I didn't want to be in school, even when I didn't want to study. So to continue on the tradition, I mean, some of you were wondering, why is he all the way in the back? Parenting duties, and the kids don't want to come out to take pictures, but I thought it was instrumental to invite the kids and to bring them into the community. There's a Somali proverb that loosely translates to, every camel will follow the footsteps of the camel before them. And this is a kind of way to install tradition. So for those of you that made this path possible for us, and without Black African excellence, we wouldn't be here. We are here because of your path, your journey, your support, your love, your care. And as we think about the University of Toronto, an incredible hub, a world-renowned institution, as we think about community, we have to think of better ways of engaging young Black boys who don't necessarily get the same access. Even though they're born in Toronto, they might not have the same privileges. So the question is, how do we set that path, and how do we journey it together? And how do we build a community for all that is inclusive and that embodies Black African excellence? Thank you so much, Henry, the whole team. It's incredible. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So our next award recipient, unfortunately, was not able to make it here today, but I briefly just want to mention her name to acknowledge all the incredible work that she has done. So the next award is the Global Impact Award, and that goes out to Liliane and Kunzimana. Congratulations. The next award is also the Global Impact Award, and this goes out to Templa Kalendu Iga. Templa, managing principal at Preponderant, Canada's foremost Africa-focused market entry advisory firm, specializes in strategic lobbying, government relations, and advisory services. Headquartered in Toronto, Preponderant guides clients across public, private, and non-for-profit sectors in developing business opportunities and navigating strategy, policy, and risk mitigation for operations and investments in African markets. As co-chair of the Advisory Council for the Canada-Africa Investment Symposium, Templa has elevated the symposium into a premier platform, fostering dialogue and strengthening ties between Canadian and African markets. Under his leadership, the symposium attracts influential decision makers, serving as the foremost nonpartisan forum dedicated to forging cross-sector partnerships, addressing challenges and opportunities between the two regions. Templer also serves as Executive Director at the Canadian Centre for African Affairs and Policy Research, a Toronto-based think tank. In this role, he strategically shapes the center's direction, cultivating partnerships with senior government officials and executives from prominent Canadian and African organizations. Born in Kampala and raised in Nairobi, Templer, after a decade of global consulting, returned to Toronto in 2019, choosing it as his base while focusing particularly on Africa. Thank you so much for all the work you continue to do, Templer. Congratulations.
I don't have a speech, but I got some reminders. First of all, I'd like to thank the African Alumni Association for this acknowledgement. This is an exceptional opportunity, not just to engage you guys and meet everybody who's working in the Canada-Africa space, but it's really, for me, it's very personal. It's a journey. I'll tell you a story later. So thanks a lot for this acknowledgement. Henry, thank you very much. Thank you. I see you. Thank you. And to share this experience with such accomplished individuals feels amazing and humbling. I'm really present, and I see you all. I'm gonna be emotional for a week. My partner's here. She knows this. It takes me like 2 weeks to get over this kind of stuff. So I'm always in it. I moved to Canada when I was 8 from Uganda. And anybody who understands migration, there's a trauma that comes with that. It's a shared trauma that we carry with us through our journey as kids, high school, uni. We carry it with our parents. And Dr. Lowe, I should have told you this a long time ago, but my African experience at University of Toronto gave me permission to go home. So this is a big deal being here. I went home. I just got back. I refused to leave. So it's really, it's been a journey, and the African Studies program needs to continue. We need to continue to support it. It inspired me and many of us, and I'm sure if we continue to support it, it will inspire many more to do work in Africa and do work here in Canada to support all our communities. Thank you.
You know, in the last book that I had published, I wrote, "It is in the doing the man is built." And in every training that I lead, I always make the entire audience say this out loud. It is in the doing the man is built. It is in the doing the man is built. But I'm so inspired today that I had this thought that it is in the doing the community is built. Thank you. So let's say that together. It is in the doing the community is built. It is in the doing the community is built. One more time. It is in the doing the community is built. Thank you. It brings me great honor to announce the next award recipient. The next award is for Emerging Academic Award, and that goes out to Chukwunonzo Nwabufo. Chukwunonzo is the founder of One Drug Incorporated and a multiple award-winning pharmacologist. I'm in the mental health so much. I'm in that space. Pharmacologist with over 6 years experience in drug development across academia and the pharmaceutical industry. Nwabufo contributed to the development of remdesivir and lenacapavir, approved for the treatment of COVID-19 and HIV, respectively, during his tenure at Gilead Sciences. He also contributed to the development of novel compounds under basic science research for the treatment and diagnosis of Parkinson's disease. Nwabufo has received more than 20 awards and recognitions with over $400,000 in funding due to his academic research and leadership accomplishments. Nwabufo is the author of 15 peer-reviewed scientific papers and 11 industry-standard peer-reviewed reports in support of drug development programs. His research is focused on developing smart point of care technologies and methodologies that will empower healthcare providers to individualize patient treatment to help them get well sooner, minimize adverse drug effects, and save on healthcare costs. Thank you so much once again.
So all protocols duly observed, I would really like to start by thanking the University of Toronto African Alumni Association for this very important award. I have received so many awards, but I think this is the first one that I have to actually be in a community of people that look like myself. And I have been so amazed by the accomplishment of our African scholars. And I also think that it speaks very positively of the University of Toronto to set a time like this to celebrate African excellency. And for that, I commend the university. There are so many incurable diseases, and when we think about incurable diseases, the first thing that quickly comes to mind is cancer, because everyone is scared of cancer. And that actually propels research work and makes us very energized to do work to bring transformational medicines. But at the same time, there are also household incurable diseases. We may know people who have them. We may also have them. But because many of these patients are on management therapies and they're able to lead normal life, we tend to forget that those therapies are just management and they're not essentially a cure. And one of such diseases is Parkinson's disease, a disease that affects more than 100 million people, particularly in the elderly population. Not only does it not have a cure, but the chances of misdiagnosis is also very high. In fact, one study said that more than 35% of patients who were treated with Parkinson's disease while they were still alive, that it was only after they had died that postmortem examination said they didn't have Parkinson's disease. And so in 2017, when I moved from Nigeria to Canada and started learning about unmet medical needs and started my career in pharmaceutical sciences, contributing to the development of disease-modifying treatments, potentially curative therapies for Parkinson's disease, and novel diagnostic agents, I made a decision in my career that my career will be focused on leading the discovery and development of transformational medicines for patients that are suffering from life-threatening diseases. And that's really what I've gone on to do so far in my very short time. That was what I did at Gilead Sciences. I was so fortunate to start out my career with developing drugs for HIV, lenacapavir, which is now approved, and remdesivir, which is also the first anti-COVID-19 drug that was approved. And now at One Drug and with my doctoral research work, thank you so much. And now with my doctoral work at the University of Toronto, along with my startup One Drug, my team and myself are working tirelessly every day to reshape how healthcare is delivered to me and you all over the world. And we want to bring personalized medicine to the point of care and to also drug development. And our vision is to create a world where you walk into the hospital and your unique blueprint will be the core determinant of which drug you should receive and the ones that you shouldn't receive. Having said that, I want to thank a lot of people. Actually, it takes a village. I am most thankful to my family. I am the very first to get a master's, but also the first to travel out of Nigeria to study abroad. And I remember when I graduated with a first class and I shared the vision with my parents, my mom bought into it and my dad asked me and he said, "Who has done it before in our lineage?" And I still remember my very quiet and respectful answer that said, "That's why I should be the first." And I was also the first to get a master's in pharmacy at the University of Saskatchewan in its 150 years. So one thing that is very important to me today as I reflect on this journey is to really encourage us all to remember that we've been called to do something that is important, not just in research. And oftentimes we write papers and we publish them, and the most important thing is to publish them, of course, within the academic community. But it's also important to remember that we are serving patients, those people that are suffering from unmet medical needs. And I think when you have that in mind, it shapes how you go into your lab and how you do your work and how meticulous you are. I'm also very thankful to all of my collaborators across and outside the University of Toronto, my supervisors, my bosses, my mentors, and actually to our leaders, the leaders within our community. Thank you for being a shining light that we can look up to. Thank you.
That was so well said. Jacqueline, remind me to change that quote in my next book. So the next award, which is the Emerging Academic Award, goes out to Otutu Amarash Chukwu. Otutu is a doctoral researcher in health policy at the University of Toronto. A Nigerian, He is a licensed pharmacist and multiple award-winning scholar and social impact innovator with over a decade's experience in health systems strengthening and policy research in sub-Saharan Africa. Over the past decade, he has worked for various international development organizations, including UNICEF and the United States Pharmacopoeia's Promoting the Quality of Medicines program in Nigeria. He is also experienced in high-level national stakeholder engagement and policy making, having worked in the Nigerian parliament for over half a decade. Otutu has won several international research grants and has published in various areas of health system strengthening and reform. He holds several awards, including being a Vanier and IDRC Scholar, a junior fellow at Massey College, a fellow of the prestigious United States Government Mandela Washington Fellowship for Young African Leaders, an associate fellow of the Royal Commonwealth Society, and the 2023 Michael Decter Award for Health Leadership and Policy in Canada. Congratulations, Otutu.
Thank you very much. Since we are celebrating African excellence, I want to do a chant from my tribe. Please oblige me. So when I say Igbo Kwenu, you say, hey. We do it 3 times, okay? Igbo Kwenu. Hey. Igbo Kwenu. Hey. Igbo Kwezuonu. Hey. Thank you very much. This award feels like a prophecy, and I say so because anytime anything academic happens to me, I feel like my mom smiles from heaven and probably laughs at me because we always fought if I should be in the academia or not. After agreeing as a younger child, when I grew up, I was like, I just want to do development work, but I still find myself in the academic circle, so I'm sure she's laughing at me right now, and let's see how it ends. So I believe that gratitude is a must, so I'm here to reel out a bunch of thank yous to a lot of people here, and I want to start with the award organizers. And thank you so much, Henry, and to all the people that recommended me for this award. I thank you. And to my co-awardees, I thank you, and I congratulate you for being inspiring and amazing. I mean, look at all this amazingness. This is African excellence, you know. And for all those who have supported me, Massey College here, where I'm a junior fellow, my supervisor, Professor Beverly Esu, my research committee members, my people at CIHR, IHSPR, Rhonda is here. My people at IHPME, Prosty is here as well. All the people too numerous to mention, I say thank you. And I want to especially thank the Fred Ugumba family for being so supportive and for praying for me. And to my own family, the Amaruche Chukwu families, you guys mean the world to me, and I thank you so much for all what you do for me and for all your prayers. And I want to especially dedicate this award to my beloved mom of blessed memory, as she kept nurturing me, correcting me, building me, and following me up in love. I love you, Mrs. Chinomso Amaruche Chukwu. And finally, I'm religious, so I return all the glory and all the honor to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for his grace and mercies upon my life. I thank you all, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much. So the next category of award is the Distinguished Volunteer Award. And this goes out to Rachel Kalaba. Rachel Kalaba, PhD candidate, at OIC, founder of Zamwell, is an author and activist with extensive experience in international development and education, especially women and gender in Africa. She was named Chibwe, Canada's top 100 Black women to watch. She has been involved in sustainable development and social justice organizations as a pro bono advisor, project lead, coordinator, and community mobilizer. Her research focuses on African Indigenous knowledge, African women's leadership, education policy, Ubuntu theory and practice, and Afrofeminism. Rachel's work with Zamwell has led to developing a women and girls Ubuntu mentorship program, supporting more than 150 girls in Zambia. She is also an educational consultant, supporting international development, gender and girls' education in Africa. Congratulations, Rachel.
Hello. When people have spoken, English is not my first language, it's actually the 7th or 10th. So I will start with the saying, takes a whole village to raise a child. I am standing here, never dreamt that I will even do my PhD. Coming from a small town, Copperbelt, in Zambia, and I was told I didn't know how to write, but I'm surprised I'm now a PhD candidate. So, I came with a dream in Canada in 2018 because I had questions in international development. I asked myself why the people came from the West was so, coming in to tell me things that I already knew. And they told me it's the qualifications that mattered. So I was like, I'm going to follow it. So I followed my dream. The only person who left Zambia from my family decided to come to the cold winter Winnipeg. I found myself there. I did my master's in indigenous development, and I found myself there, and I had more questions. And then my question led me to my research saying, where I come from, I am because you are because I am. And I didn't see that in Canada, so I was like, okay, let me try it. And when COVID hit, it was like something that I wanted to pursue. And I took a chance. I said, okay. I was talking to my mom because my father is late, so he would be laughing at me because he told me something, you always have your name. That is something nobody will take away from you. So that is something that I always carry with me, my name. So I started asking questions and I applied, and University of Toronto accepted me. And through that, I cannot have been where I am. I'm so grateful. I think Nana Day is here, who believed in my quest for knowledge. And Professor Lowe, thank you so much. And everybody else, I came here alone, and I came and I found a community. I'm forever grateful. I have a lot of Zambian sisters around, and my mother always asked me, are you okay? I said, yes, I found a sister who I call myself Mpundu is around here. I have found professors who I go and lean on. I have my friends from Kenya, from Uganda. I can't even imagine. I came here alone, but I have a very big community. I'm very, very grateful. So the work I do, I'm even grateful because it's a community work that I do. And I decided to think of, why am I being mentored in a way that doesn't work in my culture? And the challenge that I found in Canada was I was finding it hard to be mentored because some of the mentorship frameworks, not that they are wrong, but they just couldn't speak to me. So I said, how do we do that? Is to going back to our own cultural way of doing things and using that aspect of knowledge. And then I was able to work through that. I'm happy for the ZAMU project because it's grown beyond me. And thank you, Henry, for seeing me. I think we met several times. And thank you to Catherine and Henry for seeing the work that we do. So it's not about me, it's more about the community and the girls and the women. The challenges we face as Black people. I never knew I was Black until I came to Canada, so sorry. So when you come here, I considered myself a Zambian. And then they told me, you are Black. I said, what does it mean I'm Black, you're Black? So anyway, so all these things for me are something that really centers on my research work. And the thing to really be grounded, to say, listen, we have to go back to our culture, we have to speak to our ancestors, and we have to look at things that worked for us and be able to use the current technologies that are going to help us. Ubuntu is a lived experience. You have to live it. You have to live in a community. Just don't wake up and say Ubuntu. It is a lived experience. Thank you, President Rwanda, for the inspiration as well. I'm seeing her, I'm thinking, it's possible, I can do this. So we always have to know that we have to change the aspect of what's in for me. We have to look at I am because you are because I am. And if we lived by this, I think we have less conflict, we have more love, we have more empathy, we have more care. So if you question yourself, what values do you carry? If some of these things are not in there, so you're not practicing Ubuntu. So Ubuntu should be a lived experience before it's a theory or something that we live. It's something that we have to always live. That's the communities that continue to support us. So I hope that even when we are here, let us practice Ubuntu as Henry has continues to show us. So thank you so much for the award.
The next award is once again this Distinguished Volunteer Award. And this award goes out to Fasika Wuldesenbet. Fasika is an African-Canadian woman, originally from Ethiopia. She's a mother of 4 lovely children. Fasika obtained a diploma in business administration in 2006, honors in Bachelor's of Arts in 2014, Master's of Arts in 2016, Master's of Education in 2018. Currently, pursuing Doctor of Sciences. She's currently a Doctor of Sciences student at OIC in Social Justice Education and Diaspora and Transnational Studies. What a scholar. Fasika supports Amnesty International since 2011 and the Ethiopian Red Cross Society since 2018. Fasika was a member of Hadis Nigat Arts Forum for over 10 years and a board member for 2 terms. At present, she drums weekly at African Arts and Crafts and takes part in annual cultural exchange initiatives between African and Indigenous youth at Elephant Thoughts at Collingwood, Ontario. She supports the Batuki Music Society's Pan-Africanist vision that brings diverse African artists together in Toronto. Fasika has also been involved in advocacy and community outreach for over 17 years, moderated and participated academic conferences in Canada, US, and Ethiopia, hosted Zoom panels during COVID, provide analysis on online media platforms in favor of dialogue between Ethiopians. Fasika provides one-on-one support to new immigrants and to individuals in crisis with lifelong health problems, elderly people, and in long-term care. Congratulations, Fasika.
Sorry. Tena Sterling in Amharic. It means wishing you health. Good afternoon. First and foremost, I would like to give thanks to Lord Almighty God for giving me life and all the blessings in my life, including my 4 lovely and wonderful children who are all here today. I also would like to thank my parents for setting an example how I should carry my life in the world. And I also wanted to acknowledge my supervisor at the back, Professor George Day, or as we call him, Nana, and also my former professor, Professor Miriam Milo, for believing in me. And I achieved my doctoral candidacy yesterday, so I want to say thank you. And thank you all, and Henry. I grew up watching them, my parents, support their close family members as well as community around them to date. Life without people is empty. In this increasingly individualistic world, individuals also have a huge impact when they have their community at heart in everything they plan and do. I would like to acknowledge the role of an individual among the community of friends at UFT that I have known for the past 14 years. Individuals who uplift me or uplift people, recognize what others contribute towards benefiting community. I'm here because of one person who appreciated what I believe is what every human being should do. That is being there for one another. I would like to receive this award on behalf of a beloved family friend who is currently in a coma at Sunnybrook Hospital for the past 3 months. Fraser Walde-Michael has been a vibrant African Canadian who has contributed a lot artistically and engaging respectfully with young and old to uplift our spirits. One of the works that got me recognized today was the fundraiser I have done to support his family after Fraser and his family became victims of a devastating house fire on January 19, 2024 in Ajax. His current condition is a reminder for all that we should not take anything for granted, including family and friends around us. We need to celebrate them while they are up and running. Thank you for celebrating us today. Much love and congratulations.
The next award category is the Distinguished African Caribbean Award. And the award goes to Glenn Booth. Glenn is a distinguished Jamaican Canadian celebrated for his remarkable journey from a teenager migrating with his family to Canada to becoming a highly respected figure within the University of Toronto community. Glenn's academic journey is marked by a Bachelor's of Arts in Political Science from York University, further enriched by certificates in Marketing Intelligence and Business Foundations from University of Toronto's School of Continuing Studies. These achievements reflect his dedication to continuous learning and adaptability. Professionally, Glenn has dedicated over 25 years to the University of Toronto, serving in various capacities within the Division of University Advancement. His journey also includes an entrepreneurial chapter as a restaurant owner, showcasing his versatility and entrepreneurial spirit. Notably, Glenn founded and chairs the UFT Black History Month Luncheon, a testament to his commitment to cultural heritage and community engagement, now in its 22nd year. His contributions have been recognized through multiple awards, including the 2023 Exemplary University of Toronto Ambassador Award, the 2021 Excellence Through Social Innovation Award, the 2019 Arbor Award, and the 2019 United Steelworks Making a Difference Award, underscoring his impact and dedication to the University of Toronto community and beyond. Congratulations, Glenn.
Wow. This is amazing. And I know I just received an award, and that's nice. But honestly, the thing for me is that this gathering is a reward. Just being amongst these exemplars of excellence in one room is the reward for me, but the award is also nice, Henry. I had something written up, and just before I got here, I read it over in terms of remarks, and it was like 6 minutes long, so I'm going to have to just say thank you. Half of that was saying nice things about Henry. So Henry, I'll have to say that to you afterwards, okay? But I want to say, though, that a lot of you here admire Henry for a lot of other things, and he's inspiring a lot of people here for a lot of other things. What inspires me most, not most, but one of the things that inspire me about Henry, I'm not sure if you know him, but Henry is a vision of sartorial elegance. He's a nice dresser. And one of the things I aspire to be is be able to put together an outfit like Henry. But not that possible. Quickly, you have just heard that I'm here because of the Black History Month luncheon, and I'd just like to quickly share some of my experience from the luncheon itself. I've invited my two boys are here. They were students. They were students at UTSC. I thought I brought them down just to share in this moment, to experience this, to get this energy, because it might not happen again, and hopefully they're enjoying it. My colleague at work, who's an ally, who is the biggest help for me at the Black History Month luncheon. She's Greek, but you'd never know. You'd think she's Jamaican. And I'd also have her to share what this means. Also like to just quickly share the love that I have for all allies to our cause. I honestly... It is touching to me. Barbara, I know you're going to be embarrassed. Barbara was the AVP at Advancement, who was one of the sponsors of this event. Barbara used to do jerk chicken for the lunch in the early days, right? And recently we had Mr. Rooney at the lunch who donated like $5 million to the Caribbean and African Studies program right here at UFT. So shout out to the allies who are also on the same page as us to help us. The president earlier talked about excellence, and I just want to quickly talk about the Black History Month luncheon in reference to excellence. Since the university has a reputation for excellence, of all the possible feedback we get about the lunch, the one that resonates the most with me is when attendees from diverse cultures share how much they love that the lunch is a showcase for Black excellence in its many forms. Excellence has a universal appeal, which everyone can identify with, and the diverse groups of people who attend the lunch, they come back and tell me they get joy from sharing in Black excellence. These cultural events that the university put on, they're important, and it's important for the university to promote and support, because this university is a thought leader, not just locally, but it's a thought leader nationally and internationally. It therefore has a significant role to play as a change agent to change the narrative regarding Black excellence. So to my fellow award winners, to Henry, the executive director, and to the organizers, to allies, and to everyone, I say let's not be modest, because in the past, I've been modest about some of my accolades when it comes to volunteer work and the accolades you get. Let's not be modest. Let's be loud and proud as we continue to do the work which to help create and nurture and celebrate excellence. It is one of the roads, Black excellence is one of the roads on the journey to create a Canadian society that celebrates excellence, not just Black excellence, but one that celebrates excellence that is diverse and inclusive for all of us. Thank you.
Sticking to the same category, Distinguished African Caribbean Award. This award brings me a lot of joy to announce. This award goes out to Dr. Cindy Ruvashri Sinclair. Dr. Cindy Sinclair, BA, MED, PhD, is a distinguished educator, researcher, leader, mentor, and entrepreneur with specialty in sociology, social justice, education, and workplace learning and social change. Over 50 years at the University of Toronto, she transitioned from a typist in the Rothman School of Business to an adjunct lecturer in the Timurti Faculty of Medicine. Her journey embodies resiliency, exemplified by an incident in her early years where her West Indian English dialect placed her in a daunting position as a new immigrant in Canada. Support from students during this time laid the groundwork for her unwavering commitment to students at University of Toronto. She is also a champion for immigrant medical doctors' integration in the Canadian healthcare system, drawing from her own experiences. While working with her professor, Nana Georgedi, on delivering a joint University of Toronto Ghanaian academic conference in Ghana in 2015 and experiencing the culture and lifestyle of the people in Ghana, she was drawn back to her Caribbean roots, evoking memories of her upbringing in Guyana, where she has not visited for over 40 years. Dr. Sinclair epitomizes resilience, advocacy, and a profound dedication to fostering inclusivity and cultural appreciation in education and beyond. Congratulations.
Goodness, I don't know what to say now. I first have to really acknowledge all these wonderful people who are in this room and for being in this space. I am profoundly grateful to see how, where's my friend Henry? Henry has really brought us all together. I am always in love with when I see excellence, when I see people are challenged and survive. And I've been here 50 years in this country, more than 50 years. And today I just want to thank Henry, of course, and the selection committee for choosing me for this award. I'd like to thank Dr. Keita Manning. He is here, pro Caribbeano. He was a recipient of the award last year for nominating me, as well as Dr. Demi Suleiman, who is not here, but is from Ghana, who has nominated me for this award as well. And of course, my professor, Professor Day, where are you? Oh, There he is. All right. So thank you for coming, Professor Day. So I worked at the university for quite a long time, and 25 years later, I decided I was going to go back to school and get some education because I was working the system where in my first job, I was challenged by my West Indian accent, and I couldn't speak proper English. And it was a student in the classroom who were from Trinidad, actually, who stood up for me. And I've never really thought about it. I just carry on with life as though it's, it's just life. But throughout my journey in 25 years of service at the university, I saw immigrant professionals come in and really facing all kinds of challenges. So I decided, with 3 young kids and my lovely husband, John Sinclair, who for 40 years we've been married, 3 lovely sons, I decided that I would take whatever it takes me to get an education because I felt there was a need to help students. There was a need to help the immigrants who were coming. I came with a suitcase in my hand. I ran away more or less from home, from a situation. And so my first connection with the UFT was in the International Student Center. I didn't have a winter coat. I went there, and there is where I got my first winter coat. Big, tall, long pink coat, but it kept me warm. And so, there are so much memories that I've had with this university. And so all I feel now is that I need to give back. And when Nana invited me to Ghana, to his mom's funeral, back in 2015, December, because we worked together, I was the executive assistant to the department, and I was a student as well. I thought I would go. And I said to Nana, I said, why don't we do a conference in celebration of your mom? She was for education, and he said yes, and he just gave me the rein, and we organized it. And we had in his mom's villa, sitting in the shade, about 25, 30 people. There were faculty, staff, students, alumni from the University of Toronto, from Ghanaian University. There were lay people from the villages. There were leaders in education, all came, and we had such an amazing conference. And I would forever be grateful because in the morning, we would wake up early in the morning and go down the streets for a walk, and the kids would come by and they would just say hello, they'll be waving to him. And I would say to him, what are they saying? And he would translate. But it was that experience that after being in Canada and experience what my West Indian accent was like, that almost changed my whole life. Being in Ghana, I realized that I do have roots. And even though I didn't have a West Indian accent, that seeing the way the people were living, the women will be washing clothes and hanging them on the street. They'll be cooking outdoors with outside fires, with the way we sat around and we ate. And it just reconnected me back to my roots in the 1950s when I was growing up. I'm going, there is some beauty of where I came from. And I shouldn't let that, just deter my ability to think of who I am. And married to a Scotsman with 3 boys who don't look anything like me. They look more like their dad. I'm always told, are you the babysitter or are you, the friend? But, it gives me so much joy to able to do that and to be there. And I won't take up too much time, but I have to say that we established a bursary for the arts and science faculty because my 3 sons are graduated from arts and science, and so am I. So we established a bursary, and the first recipient of the bursary is a black student from Rotman Commerce, where I started my first job 50 years ago. And my oldest son, who is a professor in finance, Chinese finance, came last year to give a conference, a seminar at Rotman, and he started his seminar by thanking everyone for being there. And he said, 50 years ago this year, my mom started working here, and here I am giving a lecture today. I'm eternally grateful to the university. I sponsor several scholarships on my business. I have an education consultant business for students to go abroad and get an education and experience life abroad because I feel it means so much. I have a women's group. I don't know if Miriam is here. but there's Miriam. So I've established this Immigrant Women's Medical Doctors of Color Circle group, and we meet once a month. This is my way of empowering women, empowering immigrant doctors despite their background to take initiative and to move forward. And Miriam is a success. She just finished her thesis, her master's thesis. And so there is so much. I wouldn't take any more time. I just want to say I am a beneficiary of this university, and I'm going to give back to this university as much as I can. I take the university out to the community, and I bring the community back to the university, and I will forever be doing that. Thank you very much for having me.
Talking about accents, I'm not sure whether I have an Indian accent, an English accent, a Nigerian accent. I've gotten questioned about that all my life. But one thing that I do know for certain is that I'm a human of the world, and so are you. Beautiful. Round of applause. So the next award is the Distinguished Influencers Award. And this goes out to Kofi Akampong. Kofi is a Toronto-based lawyer and government affairs professional at Akampong Law. His current work focuses on local and international business development, investment, and addressing socio-economic challenges confronting Black and African communities. Kofi worked for 6 years as a senior policy and stakeholder advisor to various ministers of government in Ontario. Prior to that, he worked as a consultant for international lawyers and economists against poverty, an international nonprofit organization formerly located in Canada that focused on supporting African regional integration and trade. Kofi is a former intern at the World Trade Organization and the African Union, where he focused on enhancing trade-related training materials for Africa group trainees during the Doha Round and implications of the creation of the African Court of Justice and Human Rights. Kofi is a regular government stakeholder on Black Canadian, Black Muslim, and African diaspora community affairs, and has contributed to various initiatives that support Canada's diverse Black communities. He has a BA in International Relations from University of Toronto, a Juris Doctor from Osgoode Hall Law School, and it is currently pursuing his MBA at Boston University. Congratulations, Kofi. Now you may come.
Hello, hello. How are y'all doing? Good, good, good. First and foremost, I want to say thank you so much to the African Alumni Association, Professor Miriam Lowe, Henry Sali, everybody who has been involved in organizing this event at this school. It's such an honor for me to be here and to feel the love of being celebrated in some way by this community. You know, when we receive awards, they're wonderful, but to receive an award from your own community, it has a special resonance, and and meaning to it. I probably should have prepared something to say, but sometimes it's better to hear the environment, feel the environment, to prepare or to think about what it is that you want to share at a particular time. For me, it's just been incredible to witness the excellence once again of what this African continent and its diaspora can produce. We're all witnesses here today to the excellence that belongs to our people and the capacity that we have. When I first came to the school, the first question I was confronted with was, why are Africans always on the lower rungs of so many ladders? Why are Black people the world over, in Africa, in the Caribbean, in South America, wherever you go, always dealing with discrimination, disadvantage, dislocation, dispossession, and weakness? That has been the primary question that I think has motivated me, and I think motivates many of us to try and do what we're doing today in our lives. We're very fortunate to have the privilege of having attended this school, receiving these accolades. But I think what's important to remember is that we really haven't done anything unless the least of us is okay. And if we always keep that in mind in our work, if we remove our egos to allow us to work together, we will be able to construct a beautiful future for the next generation. I'll leave with this. I was inspired, like many of you, by people who have come before us. In this room, I think, or in this hall, many years ago, Martin Luther King actually spoke here and gave a lecture. And he talked about many, many things that have had impact on the world we have today. We stand on the shoulders of giants. As Africans, we stand on the shoulders of giants, people who came before us, who had a vision, who had a desire to make us not a weak people, to make us a strong people, to make us a people who would be leaders and champions in the world. Going back to the question of why Africans and Black people have suffered, we can turn that into a question of what are we going to do with what we've learned from our suffering, and how are we going to impact the world, knowing how it means to be a people who have suffered. So I leave you with that. It's a challenge for me, it's a challenge for all of us as we continue along on our journey. Thank you.
It brings me great joy to announce our next award recipient, and the last one for tonight. The Distinguished Influencers Award goes to Dr. Rhonda McEwen. Does she need an introduction? Dr. Rhonda is the 14th president and vice president of Victoria University in the University of Toronto, Canada Research Chair in Tactile Interfaces, Communications and Cognition, a professor of emerging media and communication at the Institute of Communication, Culture and Information Technology, and has graduate faculty appointments at the Department of Computer Science, Institute of the History and Philosophy of Science and Technology, and Faculty of Information, University of Toronto. As a Chevening Scholar, Dr. McEwen graduated from City, University of London, England, with an MBA in Information Technology Management in high honors. She also earned a Master of Sciences in Telecommunications from the University of Colorado, Boulder, and a PhD in Information from the University of Toronto. A world-renowned researcher in human-machine communication, Dr. McEwen combines applied and behavioral science approaches with communication studies theory to examine the social and cognitive effects of technology. Her pioneering approach to communication research employs experimental techniques, eye tracking observations, sensor data, and interviews to investigate emerging technology used by children and adults, including those diagnosed with communication and learning disorders. Dr. McEwen has worked with and researched digital communications media for over 20 years, both in companies providing services and in management consulting to those companies. Dr. McEwen's research has appeared in CBC 60 Minutes, 9 News Australia, CBC Radio, the Boston Globe, Toronto Star, and the Globe and Mail. This is just the beginning. She has over 47 publications, including the co-edited Sage Handbook of Human-Machine Communication and articles in Human-Robot Interaction Companion, Information, Communication and Society, Computers and Education, New Media and Society, and Information Science Journals. Congratulations.
What an amazing evening, right? I mean, honestly. And I have to say, I saw some tears of joy in some of the recipients' eyes tonight, and I understand that feeling. It's very special here tonight. So as everyone did, I want to thank the organizers, the amazing AAA of the African Alumni Association, of course, Henry Sally, who's such a leader among us. The gown, I love that it's called a gown. Don't you feel like super special, even the guests, right? We're all in this gown, so it means something. So it is amazing to receive this recognition as a distinguished influencer among the incredible awardees on this night. So I'm very proud of my African ancestry. One of the things lost in the Middle Passage among them were names. Some people talked about names today. Our names were lost. Our languages were lost. So much lost. Lives were lost. Entire communities were lost. But some things that did not get lost on those brutal ships that brought enslaved Africans to the West and eventually to the country of my birth, Trinidad and Tobago. Some things that survived were values, intelligence, belief that we could rise, and stories. And I want to let you know that these stories were passed down orally through many generations for people who were not allowed to write in their language and were not allowed to be educated in any language. They kept their oral, they kept their words. And my grandmother would often, especially when electricity went out in Trinidad and Tobago, happens, we would sit around and she would tell us stories. And I was just amazed when I left Trinidad and came out into the Western countries to learn that these stories actually came from Ghana. So these were stories that persisted over 200 years and still land with us today. So my grandmother would tell us about Nancy stories, which were from the Ghanaian, the Ashanti peoples of Ghana, the Anansi stories. And so in the seconds that I have left, I'm on it. I'm going to just share very briefly one. I'm not sharing the whole story, just like the basics. So Anansi, is a man in spider form, found out that the sky god maybe seeing themselves as the eternal archivist of all stories, kept all the stories of the world in this chest in the sky, this wooden chest in the sky. And so this was a time on the earth where there were no stories, not one. So Anansi, of course, a bit of a trickster, a bit of a cheeky one, and somebody who had to get everything, decided to go and try and get these stories from the sky god. So Anansi goes up there and he's, knocks and says, "Sky god, I would like your stories." And the sky god was like, "Listen, who are you? Some little spider. Like, for you to get these stories, you have to do these amazing, very difficult things." So the whole story, and you're going to go look it up on Google, 4 big challenges, 4 big hurdles that Anansi had to do to get these stories. And long story short, Anansi wins, because Anansi always wins. There are a few times he doesn't, but most time he wins. So he got the stories, he won it, and the sky god says to Anansi, "I will keep my promise." And the sky god says, "Very well, take these stories to the earth, give them to humans. They will be grateful for the joy that you will bring to humankind." And so Anansi brought the stories, and now we have these stories of the world. But tonight, we heard some new stories for us, right? Stories that had brought us joy and hope and inspiration. The stories of all these recipients in the room tonight that you shared with us are now stories that belong in that amazing archive forever. And I hope, as my grandmother and her mother and her mother and her mother and all the ones before and all of our ancestors who saved these stories, that we will tell the stories too. That we will tell them, that we will write new ones, and that we will continue to strive to make Black excellence well known and understood throughout the world. So I want to end today by saying I want to thank my husband, who's in the crowd tonight, who has to come to some of these things with me, but we've never actually come to one like this, right? An award given to me by my community. It's very special. And I want to thank my ancestors, my distinguished influencers, really, the elders who walked with me in my journey for instilling in me the values of courage, education, openness, and above all, a love of life. Thank you, my brothers and sisters.
Oh boy, this is so nerve-wracking. Standing here after listening to all this beautiful excellence, African excellence, and I'm so privileged and honored to be a part of this. And one minute. I can't see. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Catherine Batse, and I'm the Senior Volunteer Coordinator for African Alumni Association. And I am a master's student in WGSI. And welcome once again, and thank you for being here. And on behalf of the African Alumni Association, I would like to thank you all for joining us today. And I would like to extend my special gratitude to the following people. The African Alumni Association team, with whom I work with to manage this association on a day-to-day basis, and whose dedicated time is invaluable. Henry Sully, the founder and the executive director of AAA, thank you so much for being the lead, a mentor, and of course, an amazing team player. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for what you do for the association. My goodness, you guys, you have no idea how hard this guy works. Henry does everything, you know, and I'm so proud to be his colleague, to work with him. He has guided me so well to do the work I'm doing. And I have to confess, the reason why I came to University of Toronto, it was because of him. He inspired me. He used to call me all the time to come volunteer to these events. When I wasn't even at U of T, but he told me, come and see the crowd and be around these people. And then I fell in love with U of T, and then I said, okay, let me go back and study. And I thank you for that, Henry. And I would like to thank Victor of Kenya. He's not around today, but he's part of the African Alumni team. And Rachel Samuels, she's the lead of the Refugee Awareness Week. And Rashid, of course, thank you so much for all you do for the association. And yeah. Thank you so much for Ancho, our host, for always being just one call away. You never say no to us, and we appreciate you so much for the work you do for African alumni, and of course for your incredible work you do for the mental health around the world. We see you, we value you, and thank you so much. And a special thank you goes to Dr. Charles Arthur Downs. Thank you for allowing to be here and accepting our invitation. And thank you for the beautiful remarks you made today. We appreciate you so much. And the director, Mitchell White, thank you again for for accepting and the invitation as well to be presiding over this event. And thank you to the acting principal, the entire Massey College, and for opening up the doors for us to host this event for the 3rd year in a row. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ben Goss. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us, and for supporting us over the years. And of course, I want to take a special thank you to my supervisor, Professor Miriam Lowe, for always being so supportive of African Alumni Association and the entire African, students, like, at U of T. We see you, all the work you do. We see your mentorship, and you have done so beautifully, and then you're just passing on the torch to us. Thank you so much. And I want to take another opportunity to thank all everybody that sent in the letters for nominations. We wouldn't have done all this beautiful event without people out there looking out for those incredible African people who have done amazingly out there. Thank you so much for your transparency and expertise and support. And lastly, I just want to say thank you, even though he's not here, to the president of U of T, Professor Mary Gatler, and the entire university for your support to our community. And yeah, what can I say? Thank you so much. The little work we do is just to bring you here, like to present you to the world, but like you have been presenting us to the world out there. Thank you so much to the recipients, and thank you to the family that came with the recipients, and thank you to all our professors who have mentored us, taught us, done everything. So I do appreciate you all, and thank you, and see you next year. And one more thing. One more thing. I know she doesn't want the spotlight. My daughter, Abrielle, she's in the audience. She's 12 years old. She loves U of T to death. Like, for her, like, bringing her here is such a beautiful thing, a big thing for her. And I just want to say, I see you, Abby, and I don't know whether one day you follow my footsteps. I'm a single mom of 2, and I do everything for my kids, and I appreciate that my daughter, she's here with me to witness the excellence in this room. So before we close up, I would like to invite all the recipients forward for a group picture with Dr. Charles and all other professors here. And after that, the rest of you can proceed to the junior common room for more interacting, networking, and refreshment. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you all.